So, uh, so hi everyone. My name is Seth Woods. I am the National Coordinator of the LifeSmarts program of the National Consumers League. I am here with our Program Director, Lisa Hertzberg.
Hi everyone. Seth, am I on mute or I'm here?
I think, or I guess it's, would you like to be here?
If you can hear me, that's good. I actually have to call back in and use the other number so I can record, but I'll just do that very quickly and join you again in one moment, all right?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, sorry.
So yeah, Lisa and I are telecommuters. Lisa is from Minnesota. I'm from Kentucky. So apologies in advance if there's any background noise. This is usually the time of day that my dog goes outside. So if you hear any barking, I accept full responsibility for that.
The conference is now being recorded.
Perfect.
That's Lisa. I'm the group.
Okay. Thank you very much. And we'll have all of this recorded. So if you run into any other coaches who may not be able to join us today and may not be able to join us for future webinars, they can always watch this on our website at lifesmarts.org/webinar. So today we're going to just go very briefly through how the LifeSmarts program works. Can you guys see my screen with the LifeSmarts website on it?
That's Lisa. I'm seeing a screen that says, let's get started. Yeah, same here. This is Bill.
Oh, hey, Bill. How are you?
I'm good. I was on mute, but I see connected to GoToWebinar and let's get started and then a standard photo of a PC, but not yours.
Okay. I think I may have not hit the right button.
There you go. There we go.
Okay.
Now I can see it.
Thank you all for being so understanding. And again, thank you all for taking some time today to kind of go through the website. There are a lot of great materials for those of you who are new to the LifeSmarts program. We've been around now entering our 24th year of competition. This is a program that I started with when I was in high school, fell in love with the program, and still in love with it to this day. And hopefully you guys, once you learn more about it, you'll love it just as much. So the main things we're going to go over today is just the home page with where you can access resources, and then how you can register for competition as a coach, and how your players can register for competition on the teams that you create. So just some basic background information about the LifeSmarts program. It's open to all students, grades 6 through 12. It's free to play. Our varsity competition is open to students grades 9 through 12. And our JV junior varsity competition is open to students grades 6 through 8. If you see this teal menu bar, this has all of the information that you will need throughout the competition year. And so if you want to see more about the various parts of our competitions, just click the competitions tabs and it goes through all the rules. Our resources tab breaks it down through the 5 main categories that the LifeSmarts website, that the LifeSmarts program focuses on. And you'll also find those at the very top of our homepage in that gray bar. Those 5 categories are personal finance, technology, consumer rights and responsibilities, the environment, and health and safety. And we have materials that you can use in your classroom as an extracurricular activity that tie into each of those. I'm going to very quickly click on the dollar sign, which is a symbol for personal finance, and it shows all the materials that we use, including content vocabulary. We have video casts with NBC News consumer reporter Herb Weisbaum, the consumer man, including lesson plans, PowerPoints, and games. We also have links to further websites and study materials that you can use as part of your preparation for the competition or just in your classroom as well. I'm going to scroll back up to the top and click on the LifeSmarts logo. When you click on the LifeSmarts logo, it will take you directly to the home page every time. I have not logged in at this point. Most of the things on this website can be accessed without logging in. However, if you want to participate in the competition, you need to log in either as a coach or as a player. This header here, this slider area here, always shows up with new information. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you have a 9-digit webinar ID?
I do. Let me find that for you. Is there anyone else who is if you're looking for the webinar ID, the ID number is, and I'll give you a chance to write this down. The webinar ID number is 860-322-531. And I'll repeat that one more time. It's 860-322 and 531. And if you have any questions as we go through, considering it looks like we've got 7 people on the site right now, or on the webinar right now, feel free to unmute. Just hit *6, and it will unmute you. And feel free to ask those questions as we go along. Again, the whole purpose of this webinar is to introduce this content and make sure you guys are comfortable with it. Lisa and I are available year-round if you have any of those questions as well. Yes? Oh. Was there a question?
Hey, Seth.
Yes.
Seth? So I keep getting the screen that Lisa mentioned in the beginning. Let's get started with the standard photo. I can't see your screen. Is there something that everybody else did that got them to your screen?
No, that's...
A second pop-up window that opened separate from that screen? No. So I don't want to hold you to that ball. I can always watch the YouTube video later.
Okay. It's interesting you mentioned that, Bill. I'm looking in the GoToWebinar panel right now, and it does look like there's a little danger sign, or the exclamation point in the triangle, the warning sign, I guess. I also have one by Mary Hillman. Mary, are you encountering issues viewing the webinar?
No, so the screen that he sees is like from the browser, and I have that. I can see that, but your screen opened in a separate window.
Bill, I don't know. Do you have a pop-up blocker installed on your browser?
Okay, I'll go disconnect that. Thank you.
Oh, not a problem. There we go. A perfect example of a LifeSmarts skill that sometimes comes in handy. So I can tell you that things like this do show up in our technology events, and so like these are the skills that we want to reward students for knowing. Okay, so
go ahead.
All right. Well, and again, as you run into issues, please don't hesitate to ask. The next page that I'm going to show you is the base camp. So once you scroll past, you can sign up for our e-newsletter. Every month we send out information about the LifeSmarts program, and coaches, we also send out a weekly newsletter called Teach Smarts that highlights a specific educational resource that incorporates the LifeSmarts program, other materials. Lisa, I know you've been working on the Teach Smarts blast. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Well, it's a great way for us to help teachers find their way around the website. So, yeah, please sign up for that. We'd love to send that out to you. As Seth mentioned, it goes out every Tuesday, and it's a way for us to help highlight some of the things on the website because we really do have a lot of resources and a lot of opportunities there, so we want to kind of help people find them.
Thank you. Yeah, I completely agree. And again, the whole purpose of this website is to put these resources out there to you coaches so you can use these with your students as easily as possible. And including some of that is, as I scroll down the homepage, the LifeSmarts Base Camp, which includes several different parts of the LifeSmarts program. Again, one of our state coordinators described LifeSmarts activities kind of like a restaurant menu. You don't order everything on the menu. You take a couple of things that you're interested in, and then afterwards you can feel like, whether or not you want dessert and add something on at the end. So this is one of the places where you can kind of see all the various parts of the LifeSmarts program and how you can use these in your classroom. Just to go over very briefly, a quick shout out to our daily quiz. This is a 5-question topic test. There are 5 questions randomly selected from the competition pool. You click Start Quiz, and you can keep track of these scores, or you can use these as kind of a bell ringer to get your classes started at the beginning of the day. I don't know if we really want to actually play this. I'm literally going to guess on these, but you can, just to kind of show everybody, I'm just going to click the first answer. And you guys can kind of see which ones are correct And you can see that the questions are coming from a wide variety of categories. We just had a question about litter. This is a question about Wi-Fi interference. And then the next one's about the Federal Clean Air Act. So they cover all 5 of our categories, and you can use these as part of your event. When you're finished with the 5 questions, you click Finish Quiz. It'll tell you how many you got right, how long it took, and if you're an educator that actually wants to keep score and see to make sure that your students are participating using the daily quiz, you can have them type in a name and an email address to send it to, and then we can click that send button, which I know it's kind of hard to see, but you click that and it would email that. You can have it emailed to the teacher or to the student to show that they've taken that. And then you can also restart, take a different 5-question quiz, or click view the questions. And it will show you each of the correct answers, and if you picked incorrectly, the incorrect answers. Um, but a very good educational material. Again, very quick 5 questions, so you can use this as a way to start your class day or things like that. I'm going to click the home page. Click the icon to take us back to the home page. I mentioned the daily quiz simply because it is one of our most popular sites and is really easy to use, and you don't have to be logged in to take those questions. The other things I'm going to highlight really quickly on here is our web app, LifeSmarts Adventure. You can create goes through a variety of events and sponsored by LifeLock. You click on lifesmartsadventure.org and it'll take you there. I think right now the theme is camp, correct?
Yeah, we still are focusing on camp, and next up will be health and safety, which aligns with September.
Thank you very much. A good kind of tie-in to the next resource I wanted to mention, because September is our month of health and safety. Each month we have a different focus category or focus topic. September is health and safety. October will be personal finance. November, consumer rights, and so on. We've also put together a content vocabulary word of the day that ties into each of these topics. And so, for example, today, if you click on question of the day, it will take you to today's content vocabulary word, which is the drug facts label. And you can click these open. You can find definitions. There's even a question that applies to the content vocabulary word. Today's question. This appears on all over-the-counter medicines purchased without a prescription. Considering that the word of the day is the drug facts label, I have a pretty strong suggestion that might be pretty close to the answer. But you can submit your answer. Students can play this in their own time. Every month we do a drawing, and a lucky winner with the correct answer from one of the vocabulary words that day wins a t-shirt. And for everyone else, you have a chance to learn more about over-the-counter medicine safety, and it'll take you to an educational, informational site that's related specifically to that content vocabulary word. And it looks like this today, the OTC medicine safety page at scholastic.com will show you all of the materials that they've got there. So these are some of the resources on our Basecamp. Wanted to show you just kind of to review the homepage. There's a lot more on there. As you get more acquainted with the site, I imagine you'll find more things that interest you specifically. If you're an FBLA coach or an FCCLA advisor, we have specific competitive events for FBLA and FCCLA that you can use in addition to the varsity and JV competitions. All right, so that's how, those are all the resources on the site, how they can be used in the classroom. Right now we're going to go over the basics of registering for competition as a coach and as a player. So you'll notice in the upper right hand corner of the web page there are three links on that gray bar on the right: log in, register, and contact us. I'm going to do them in reverse order. The contact us button is very useful if there's anything that you run into, an issue on the site, you need help with. Please use this contact us form, and you can send us. There are 3 types of contacts that we've got right now: casual suggestions, need some help but it's not urgent, and then please help me as soon as possible. And so depending on the level, we will respond to you no matter what. but just to let us know what you were looking for, and that goes directly to us, and we can help you with that. Um, the next one in the upper right hand corner is the register button, and this is where all players, all coaches will log in will register as a player in the competition. And this is a pretty straightforward form. If you're registering as a player or a coach, there is a difference in the form that shows up. So we're going to register as a coach first, because players cannot join a team until a coach has created it. So it's important that coaches register and create the team before the players register and join the team afterwards. So here we are. We have a coach, and again, I'm just going to pick Alaska because it's a pretty quiet place up there right now. And you can create this with your own accounts. And I'm just going to create a practice account here, and we'll delete this later. But create a unique username that applies specifically to you, and then a password as well. There, I don't think are any requirements on the password. Like it's not required to have like specific numbers and digits, things like that. But obviously, password security is very important. So use that at your own risk of password strength. All right. And we'll just go through this really quickly. Um, so I think all of the pages, all of the boxes on the form are required. All right, yes. So for example, that little red box that says this field is required, and apologies for data or grammar. Describe how many students that you would be using this in your classroom, and then basic demographic information. We do not use this we don't collect, we collect this information for demographic purposes. So for example, our sponsors, things like that, would like to know, like, for example, how many teenagers we reach, how many based on age, ethnicity, gender, things like that, what grade they're in. That's all of this. You do not have to answer those questions. But you select those. The next thing you'll need to put in is your email address. And I'm just putting in, again, you want to make sure you have a correct working email address when you send this out, because if you lose your password at any time, then you won't be able to receive it again. So, and only one account can be tied to each email address. So if you were to create a second account, you would need to use a second email address to create that. So, all right. All right. And of course, we already knew the zip code. Then once you click through the CAPTCHA, you can register with LifeSmarts. As you can see, you want to make sure that the CAPTCHA clicks through. You see the green check mark. Then you can hit register with LifeSmarts. Once you do, at the very top, it'll say registration successfully completed. If you are a returning coach or player, there is no need to register again. Your account from last year is still active. You can go directly to the login page. And if you're a new user, you can also use this link to go directly to the login page. It should open up in a new tab there. If you are already registered or created the account, it will log you in directly. You'll see this where it says hello username, and then you'll see this little log out button. Don't click that until you're finished. You can click on the icon button at the top. It will take you to the home page, or since you're logged in as a coach, you can click on the coaches tab, and it will take you to the coaches corner. This is the coaches corner where all of the competition will be of your part will be organized. So you'll see there are 5 tabs here, including the first tab, which describes just kind of news that coaches should know. Occasionally during the year, we will provide updates, especially as deadlines approach later in the year. If you're looking to get started, we even have a few links that you can click to go to the new coaches page that describe in further detail the various parts of the competition, including our FAQ buttons and specific pages just for FBLA and FCCLA coaches, considering that there are multiple events that are open to those organizations. And then, of course, the new coaches tab right there will also provide you with more information. The second tab is the one that we're going to go over really quickly, or we're going to go over in detail. The other ones are a little bit more, can be glossed over a little bit more quickly. This My Teams tab shows you how to create your teams. All right, so all of the LifeSmarts teams that you create will be through this tab here. You click My Teams and then Team Listing. It shows that we don't have any teams created yet, but once you create that team, team name, and then the organization, we encourage you to have a team name that is easily identifiable, not just to you, but also to your state coordinator as well. If you are participating in the state varsity competition, our coordinators have access to all of the teams in that state. So, for example, if you say third period foods or afternoon after school group, things like that, that might be very specific for you, aren't very specific for the coordinator. So you might want to put in there, for example, Washington High School after school group, or practice high school foods one, things like that. So make sure that you have specific information there that coordinators can use to help distinguish which teams need information. So the other the other box that you'll need to click before you create the team is decide what type of team that you want. So again, we have the junior varsity, the JV, is specifically for grades 6 through 8. The varsity competition is the traditional event. It's grades 9 through 12. This is open to all students grades 9 through 12, including those who are in business, family, consumer science, things like that, 4-H groups as well. Then we have the specific groups for the additional events. So FCCLA is the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. These are our family and consumer science students. And this is to compete in the FCCLA Consumer Knowledge Bowl, which is a separate event organized at the national level. FBLA, the Future Business Leaders of America, have their own separate competitive event called LifeSmarts, and that is also organized at the national level. So coaches can create multiple teams of multiple varieties in any of these, and 4-H is also, this is a new one this year. We're happy to announce that 4-H teams can be created this year. There is no separate event for 4-H, but there is a separate Team Smarts competition, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that will guarantee that one 4-H team will go home with a $100 cash prize for their chapter in the monthly Team Smarts Awards. So we're going to create just a varsity team right here. Practice high school, pretty straightforward. You click Add Team. It's the button right below. And there should be a pop-up that says Creating New Team, and it has all the information that you just typed in. Once you click the OK button, you'll see where it says Submitting Team, and then the team has been added. Please refresh the page to include the team listing. You can create multiple teams at this point. We do not recommend it because there's no guarantee that it will always show up, and especially to make sure to keep track if you are creating multiple teams. This is particularly common with FBLA coaches because the FBLA competitive event only has 2 players on a team, and coaches or FBLA advisors may create teams for 20 or 30 people in their class, so they may end up creating anywhere 5, 10, 15 FBLA teams. So we recommend refreshing the page every time. When you refresh the page, it does take you back to the landing, but if you click that My Teams tab, it will take you immediately to the team listing, and now you can see that our first team has been created. So at this point, you can continue creating teams, or you can inspect and edit the teams that you've created. So each team would go in a row. This is team number 1, practice 1. If you go to the end of that row and you click Inspect/Edit, it will give you all the information that you just put on there. However, you can't change any of this information right now. If, for example, you created a varsity team, but you meant to create a JV team or something like that, you can change that information right here in the coach's corner. All you have to do is click the Edit Team link. It's directly below the team name at the top of the drop down box. If you click that, all of a sudden these boxes open up and you can start adding or taking away editing information. And if you want to change the type, you can change it to JV. You can change it back. And then um, if you want, you would just click Update Team once you're finished. All right. So you would, and that will then show a pop-up. It shows everything's been locked in, and you now have that team. Once we start adding players, they will show up here at the bottom. This bottom link here that says team players, 0 plus or minus. The number of players on the team will show up in between the parentheses. Right now there aren't any players on there, but you can add players through here. Lisa, do we want to show them how to add players through here, or do we want to do it as a student?
I think it's better for the students to join the team, but it's up to you, Seth.
Okay. All right. This will vary from state to state, but if you wanted to add players yourself, if the students have already registered, you can click that Add Player button, and then a drop-down list will show up, and it will list all of the students in that state who are currently not on a team in that area. So right now, for example, there are 48 players in the state of Alaska that are not on a JV team. This is fairly short. If you are in a state that has a lot of competitors, for example, Pennsylvania, Missouri, things like this, this list is much longer, takes forever to load. So if you are in a large state with a lot of competition, I would not suggest this. If you are in a a less populated state with not many competitors, you might be able to use this to select the teams that you or the players to your team. Uh, so just for example, I'm just going to select a practice player, click the Add Player button, clicking it just once, and then clicking the X out button. And then you can see that that player is on that team. All right. Are there any questions currently about how to create a team? All right. So I think at this point we'll hop over to the competitions tab. This will show all of the scores that your students, as they take the tests, they will show up here. There are 4 types of quizzes that they will take during the year. The first one is the category competition quizzes. The competition quizzes are the 5 tests that must be taken in order to have a score and to be eligible for a state varsity competition. So you can select by team type, you hit load. Once it loads up, it'll load the names of all the teams that you've created. And then it will also show you how many players are on that team and how far they've gone along in taking the test. So under here we've got practice 1, JV, players 1. You click on that players 1 and it will show you the names of the players that are on that team at the moment. You can see there are 7 boxes here, each one for each of the tests that have to be taken. There's a pre-test, and then the 5 category tests: environment, personal finance, health and safety, consumer rights, and technology. Once all of those have been taken, there is a capstone test at the end. All of these are 20 question tests and are 100 points possible in each. Once a player has finished all 7 of those tests, they will have a total score that gets counted in the end. The top 4 scores on a team are then combined and averaged to form the team's total score. These are important, especially in states that are holding state competitions. If there is a cutoff in that state, this is sometimes used to separate which teams are invited to the state competition and which ones aren't. Because of that, we encourage players to wait until close to the state deadline in order to take these quizzes, usually about 2 to 3 weeks before the state closing deadline. That way they have as much time to prepare for competition as possible, including on practice quizzes. The Team Smarts and the FBLA, FCCLA tabs are good for keeping track of scores when you're participating in those events. But I'm going to click on the fourth tab here, which is the practice quiz scores. And this will show you who has been taking quizzes, practice quizzes, how well they've been doing on the specific areas. When we go through the players area, we'll show you that each player has a chance to take category quizzes based not only on topic but difficulty level as well. There are 3 levels of difficulty in LifeSmarts. There's 1 easy, 2 moderate, and 3 challenging. And so you can see, for example, how many of your students took easy level questions in the environment. You would click load, and if someone were to have taken that quiz, it would show up here and show how well they did, which team they were on, things like that. That way it's easy for you to keep track of those scores. Lisa, is there anything I'm forgetting about the competitions tab?
No, Seth, not that I can think of.
Okay. And as anyone has questions, please feel free to ask them as we go along. I'm looking on the webinar, and it does not look like we have any questions, which is totally fine. But feel free to ask them as we go along. The next tab we're going to show is the profile tab. We had this happen.
Let me jump in. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm very new to this, so it's a newbie question. My name's Mark. I'm in Fairfax, Virginia.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, thanks very much. This is super useful. The practice quizzes, can these be taken before teams are formed? And the reason I'm asking is I'm trying to figure out how to form kids into teams. And so are the practice quizzes generally taken by the kids after they are in teams, or can I use those to help me form teams?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking it, Mark. Yes, you can. They can join They can take the practice quizzes before they are on a team, and they can take them after. Is that right, Lisa?
Right, absolutely. Once they are registered and logged in, they do have to be logged in to have access to those, but they can do those without being part of a team. There we go. Okay, splendid. I was hoping that was the case. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you. All right, and we will show you guys that when we go through the players corner after we hop out of the coaches. The last thing I wanted to show here in the coaches tab, the FAQs are nice. There's a lot of information here, but you can go through this on your own time and how you feel comfortable about that. The profile tab is the one I wanted to show you guys really quickly. So let's say, for example, you signed up with your home address rather than where your school is located. We had a coach who lived in Greater Cincinnati. She taught in Indiana, but she lived in Ohio. So when she registered with her address in Ohio, but then she went to school and none of her students could see her teams that she had created, and it's because she had registered in a different state. So, for example, if you need to change any of this information at any time, you just click on it through the profile tab. So, yeah, let's say, for example, it's in Idaho. And then when you're finished, you would, oh, I forgot about that. This is only available in the profile area. It's not available in the register form. I'm glad we looked at this. For example, if you don't want your students to start taking the quizzes early, if there's a certain time that you say, look, I know our state closing deadline is in December, but I don't want anyone to take the category quizzes by mistake in September, you can use this calendar option to select a date that coaches will allow their players to start taking those quizzes. So let's say, for example, that you don't want your students to start taking the actual competition qualifying quizzes. You only want them to take the practice quizzes until November 1. Click November 1 here, and then click Update Details. And it will update all that information, and if you're a coach, you can make sure that those players do not take those quizzes beforehand. I'm going to switch back over to Alaska because I know that our practice player account is a student in Alaska as well. All right. Lisa, is there anything about the coach's corner I'm forgetting?
No, I mean, I think this has been very helpful, Seth.
Okay. All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to log out. Even if you have someone who wants to log in and maybe as a player, something like that, they won't be able to access all of the materials if the original user is still logged in. So players, coaches, anyone who's logged into a computer into the website must log out before another person can log in. And you'll see it's smack dab right in the center of that white menu bar. You just click log out right there, and it will log that out. It takes you straight to the login page, so whoever is next to log in can log in immediately. If, for example, you wanted to go back to the home page first, check out some resources, things like that, you can always log in the upper right hand corner. It's that third button that we hadn't gotten to. So if you click on login, it will take you there. I have saved my personal information in here, but I've also saved a couple of practice accounts as well. So we can hit login here. Before we do, really quickly, I want to do a quick shout out for the lost your password feature. So let's say one of your students has created their account, they've got their email address, but they can't remember their password. All you have to do is click lost your password, and a drop down box will ask them to enter either their username or their email address. Once they put that in, it will reset the password, and it will send an email with the username and a link to reset the password. Now, that time around, I think you will have to create a stronger password that includes letters, symbols, numbers, all of that, just for security reasons. Um, and occasionally, depending on the strength of the filter, the spam filter, with the email account, you may have to check the spam folder. It usually shows up in the inbox, but if it doesn't after a player or a coach forgets their username or email username or password, they may have to check their spam folder before they do that. But fortunately, we remember the password for the player account, so we're going to log in as a player. And note that it takes us directly to the players corner. This is the second tab up in the teal menu bar. It's right next to coaches. If we were to click on coaches from the players account, we see the links to the FAQs, but we don't see any of the other information, like to see the competition scores, things like that. Those aren't available to players. Those are only available to coaches. So we'll click on the players tab because we're logged in right now as a player. And you can see that there are 5 tabs. Again, more FAQs at the end. Again, another place to update the profile if they need to. And then there's my teams and competitions. So, for example, you can see under competitions, even though this student has not taken the quizzes yet, they're not available, they do have the ability to take those practice quizzes. So it's right here in the middle of the page. And you can see the 5 categories. That CRR stands for Consumer Rights and Responsibilities. It was a little hard to fit all that in there, so we shortened it to CRR. And then, of course, those difficulty levels: 1 easy, 2 moderate, 3 challenging. We also have practice team smarts tests and a general practice quiz available down here. All of these are available to all students throughout the year if they're looking for practice questions to study and prepare for competition.
That's it, Lisa. And I should clarify something for Mark. The category quizzes that you can select the difficulty are not available until you're on a team, and that's because those report back to the coach. But the general practice quiz, will you click on that, please? I do believe that's available even if a student has not joined a team.
Okay, and that's at the very bottom. It's the very last link. It's 20 random questions that come from all 5 categories. Again, there are 3 answer options, and they cover all the categories. So we literally went from laxatives to warranties, and it just continues through that. So, and again, people can move at their own pace. It keeps track of how much time is spent on each question and how much time is spent overall. It does not affect scores the longer students take on these practice quizzes or on the category quizzes. It does impact them on those team smarts quizzes where they work together as a team. So anyway.
And one thing that I'll add to for Mark for other coaches who are trying to figure out, a best way to create teams, I would say put students on online teams, in some fashion that makes sense to you right now, whether that's by class or by interest, or put everybody on one team. And then we can move people around later. So if you figure out, the students who are most interested in moving to compete in person and hoping to advance to the Virginia State competition, we could, move those students onto a separate team or do other things if if that's what you need as we get closer to the end of the program year.
So that's helpful. That's a high degree of flexibility. I'm running this in a class. I've got 25 students I want to participate, and I'm just trying to figure out the smart way. And I don't want to take over the webinar, but I just want to, I want to get going in the next couple of weeks. And so I just need to think through, do I put them all in, like one team to begin with and then split them up? So knowing that flexibility is available is useful.
Okay, I'll just add one thing. Putting them all on one team gives you the best possible score because we look at the top 4 students and we average their scores for your final team score. But if you wanted to have some competition in the classroom and you wanted to create teams of 5 for now, and or whatever number, you could do it that way, and then we could put everybody on one team later to, like I said, give you that best possible score with all.
Oh, that was a very. That was worth the price. Worth the price of the webinar right there. Those kids go to the state, right? I mean, those would be the 4 kids that would go to state, right?
Right.
No, we do leave that up to you. So the top 4 scores online, that does become your team score because it's your best possible score. But we give you the latitude to choose the students who would advance to compete in person. Some coaches do that. But other coaches, want to use other factors. So we leave that up to you.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much. That's
you're welcome.
That's awesome. Yeah, it seems like you guys are picking this up, and I mean that's the beauty of LifeSmarts. It seems a little complicated when you see it all, but once it clicks, it starts to click, and everything falls into place. So, yeah, I've had those moments as well, and so thank you. Welcome to the club. Just to show you guys, under the My Teams, we're registered as players. This student has already joined a varsity team, and that's why there's no drop box here, but this player has not joined an FBLA team or an FCCLA team. This isn't required. If you are in an FBLA chapter, you can have a student join both teams through that. All of that information will all show up in the same spot in the competitions area. Once they click join team, there's no pop-up or anything. It literally just shows them the name of the team that they've joined. Once they've joined a team, once they've joined a varsity team or an FBLA team, there will be specific information for that. FBLA competition hasn't opened yet, so you won't find any information there. But FCCLA just opened today, so we'll have the student join the FCCLA team, and well, let's see. Oh, it's because we haven't taken the pre-quiz. Oh, sorry.
I think if you refresh that, it'll show up.
Okay. All right, I'm going to refresh the page. Thank you for reminding me about that. Even I sometimes forget I've got to refresh the page. It takes me to players. I'll click competitions. Yep, there it is. Quiz FCCLA Fall Online Test. This is for the FCCLA event where only the team captain can access it. However, once those team captains have been appointed, that's the beauty I love about this is that once you appoint that team captain, then they can go in and take care of the quizzes. I'll show you guys how to appoint a team captain. We couldn't do it earlier because we didn't have any players on the team yet. But once we go in and we have players added who have joined through the My Teams tab, we definitely, then you can start adding those players. This is how we encourage coaches to have players join the teams that they've created, because again, the computer doesn't know which team that student wants to join. The only thing they know is that they're in that state. So let's say you've got players in Virginia. It's going to load up all of the teams that have been created in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but that's a lot easier to load than the list of the hundreds, if not thousands, of students who have had accounts carry over from last year in Virginia that have not joined a team yet. So we encourage players to join their LifeSmarts teams through the My Teams tab of the Players Corner. All right, so under the Competitions tab, the very first link is to the Team Smarts quizzes. These are taken as a group. The team captain is where these quizzes will show up. If a player is not a team captain, then there won't be any information here. I believe I've already I was playing around with this earlier, and I think I've already appointed this student the captain of the varsity team, but we didn't appoint them the captain of the FCCLA team. So the September Team Smarts test is there. It's 100 questions. That's where it pays off to answer questions faster. Um, so there are some strategies that your team can use. One of them I would definitely recommend is make sure everybody is rested, hydrated beforehand. All the restroom breaks are taken because once the Team Smarts quiz starts, it cannot stop. You have to complete it, otherwise the score won't count. So it's 100 questions, 60-minute time limit though. You don't have to take all 60 minutes. Um, and the highest scoring team in each of the 5 categories, varsity, JV, FBLA, FCCLA, and 4-H, each receive a $100 cash prize each month for that. And we make sure that we are being as generous as possible. Only a team can only win 1 prize per year. So 25 teams and chapters from across the country will be winning $100 each through the Team Smarts competition. Oh, sorry. I think we have another question.
Yeah, it's the guy that keeps talking. It's Mark again. So the practice quizzes are individual.
Yep.
The Team Smarts quizzes are done by the group, however big the group may be, and
right.
then the competition quiz is really the only quiz that qualifies you for the state competition.
Exactly, and those are individual as well. Yeah, okay. And you don't see
those are individual. Oh,
yeah. Right. But each one will have their own account to access those quizzes.
Got it. Okay. Thanks.
No, these are great questions. And you can kind of see where it says LifeSmarts competition quizzes. This is where those scores, that's where those quizzes will happen. No, you don't see the 5 categories yet because this student hasn't taken the pre-quiz yet. If you click on that, then the quizzes will be available. Again, we want students to be honest, go through this as well as they can. We're using this it's not part of their score because obviously we can't penalize somebody for not knowing something before they got here. We use this for statistical purposes. So like again, when we're dealing with our sponsors, things like that, to say how well does LifeSmarts educate students, we can say, well, between the pre-test and the capstone, students average, I think is it a 6 or 7% increase in their score?
Yes, last year 7% best.
Okay, so yeah, so LifeSmarts is effective in increasing average scores, and that's how we use the pre-quiz. I'll be honest with you, I am just going to breeze through this and hopefully get as many wrong. That way we can help, in my very tiny way of boosting the margin between pre and post. All right, so we're just going to jump through these very quickly because once this pre-quiz is finished, then we can access the category quizzes. All right. But as we're zooming through, you guys can kind of see some of the questions. They're not the same questions for all students. So they do come from a pot of, I think it's about 100, 200 questions. So some of these questions may look familiar, but some of them will be entirely different. So yeah, we got 35%, which 1 out of 3, yeah, that sounds about right. All right, so now we finished the pre-quiz. Unlike the practice quizzes, you don't have access to the answers. So all you see is the score, and then you finish. At that point, you're going to go back to the player's corner, and it'll take you back to the home page. Click on competitions, and now, under LifeSmarts competition quizzes, all 5 categories are there. You can keep track of the scores over in the right-hand side. So you can see we've already got 35 on the pre-quiz, and then you can click on each one of these for those tests. I'm not going to do it here, but once your players are ready to take those quizzes, that's where they'll do it. When they finish a quiz, they need to make sure that they refresh the page, and they can do that either by hitting the refresh button or by clicking the player's icon in that teal menu bar and going back to competitions. Once all 5 category quizzes have finished, then there'll be a final test, the capstone test. This is the post test, and students must take that capstone test in order to be eligible for competition. This is it's similar to the pre-quiz. It's not the same questions as pre-quiz, but they are similar, and it is just to kind of measure that how well they've done from when they started the program to when they finished the online part of the competition. So let's see, Lisa, is there anything here on the players' corner that I have not mentioned yet?
I think just one thing I wanted to emphasize, the capstone doesn't show up until the other category quizzes are done. And also with LifeSmarts, all the students see that it's available, but only the captain has a live link there. So only the captain can launch that LifeSmarts quiz, whatever it is that the team is eligible for. On the 30th of the month, this month, September, Team Smarts closes at midnight. The next morning, October opens, and that's focused on personal finance. So September through January, there's a monthly Team Smarts quiz that focuses on a different topic area each month. So there are 5 chances to try for that. Every student has a practice in each area to take if they wish to. And it's another great practice tool for students.
Thank you, Lisa. And you can kind of see which month is each category. It's the same every year. So if you want, for example, your students to take the Health and Safety Team Smarts test this month, they can take the practice test from September, I think it's 2 or 3 years ago at this point. See similar questions. They're not the same questions, but they are similar, just to kind of work out what's going to be on there and what they should be studying. And this goes through January. In February, that's usually state competition time, and so at that point, the focus of the program goes from the online quizzes to the in-person competitions. All right, now that we have some players on the team, I think we're going to go back and show you guys how to add a team captain, if that works for everyone. All right, so we're going to log out, and we're going to log in again. We're going to log in as the practice coach. And it's going to take us to the coach's corner. And again, we want to look at my teams. So here are some practice teams that I put together earlier, each in the different areas. We're going to go to the varsity team because I think I've got some players on that team at this point. So no need to edit any of this information. We go straight down to the bottom where it says team players, 6 plus or minus. All right, so we've got all of these players on here, including a duplicate. I would be careful if a student has not taken any quizzes. You can remove these duplicates simply by clicking the Remove Player link at the end of the row. And then you'll get a pop-up and it says, do you want to remove this player from the varsity team? And it crosses it out. I'm going to do that a couple of times and it should cross them out. If a student has already taken some quizzes, it gets a little dicier simply because we want to make sure that those scores stay there. I've removed him twice now, even though it only shows it to be deleted once. I'm going to refresh the page by clicking the coaches button. This is also another reason why we encourage coaches not to add players through the Add Player feature here in the Coaches Corner, simply because it's really easy to click that button multiple times. And when you do that, it shows all these extra players. All right, so fortunately, Leroy's off there twice now. So now we have 4 players on this team, and we can't change any of the information, but we can appoint a team captain. You can see there's a little radio button beside each player's name, and it says TC. That TC stands for team captain. So all you have to do if you want to change the team captain on that page is just click the radio button beside it. It should refresh automatically. So for example, if you look in the that team information box, the captain is now Leroy LifeSmarts. But just in case if it doesn't show up, you may want to refresh the page just to make sure by clicking on the coaches tab and going back to my teams. All right, so that's how you appoint a team captain. By that point, you should be okay. You've created the team, the players are on it, you've appointed the team captain. So those 3 steps are finished, and now it is up to the players. All all of the deadlines, all of the access to the quizzes, those are through the Players Corner. So we encourage your students to take that responsibility and make sure that they're taking those quizzes when they should be. You can keep track of all of this, remember, under the Competitions tab. You just click Load, and it'll show you if anyone has taken those quizzes yet, how far along they are if they have. See, our practice score, that pretest score of 35, is now showing up under the pretest area. All of these zeros doesn't mean that they got a 0 on the test. It just means that they haven't taken it yet, and that 0 is just a placeholder. Once all those numbers fill in, then there will be a total score, and those total scores will then combine, the top 4 will then combine and be average, and it'll show up on this team total line that is right there. So, and then if you do decide you want to move some players around, you can do that through the My Teams tab by removing them on this site and then having the player join the new team through the Players Corner. And the scores should carry over. Did we have someone join the call?
Yes. My name is Kathy Downs.
Hello, Kathy. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to be here. I'm a little confused. I've got my teams all set up. My team captains are all set up.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of played with fantasy football today, but I guess I'm having a hard time just seeing. I'm so concrete, sequential. Which lesson am I supposed to be doing first? And is there any point where it just lists everything off, just like bingo, bango, bongo, right in order of how I'm supposed to be going?
This is the beauty of the LifeSmarts program. It's very flexible. You can use it however you like. If there are lessons in here that don't necessarily match what you're looking for, you can skip over those. If you're looking for more materials, if you want to go more in depth on a certain area, you can do that. All of the competition, since our competition covers all 5 topic areas, we encourage you to use the resources in all of them, but it's up to you how you would like to use them.
So I guess I dive into, finance or whichever one. It doesn't matter what order.
Right. Whatever works best for you. Now, we do have monthly focus areas. So, for example, September is the month of health and safety. So you could focus on health and safety now, or if it's easier for you guys to focus on that later, you can do that as well. Lisa, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think we definitely package the resources. There are some kind of quick hits that dive into each of our topic areas that I think would get you started. I also highly recommend looking at the coach's guide because I feel like that also offers a pretty good. I printed that out. Okay. Yeah, I would definitely start there. We are also working on pathways that will help, we hope, kind of guide you through the website depending on what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a curriculum, if you're looking for lessons, or you're looking for competition, and those should be up on the website very soon, we hope by the end of the month. All right, so I would just go out, like to say, health and safety, and take a look at there should be a lesson plan for that and a PowerPoint for that, and then just have the kids start quizzing. Yeah, I think that's a way to do it, and I think have the students use the practice quizzes and so forth, and I think that will be fun for them, and will definitely reinforce what you're teaching and what the curriculum and the lessons are that we have on the site. Okay, I went out to BuzzFeed and actually bought the buzzers too. Oh, awesome. So I was planning on using those on Fridays. Is there past tests that I could pull from for in class? Yeah, we have some resources that I think are really nice to use in the classroom. We have practice rounds that are retired to the website. Seth, is it possible to go to resources and go to those?
Sure. Is everyone okay with the coach's corner? Otherwise, I probably won't be coming back here. All right. So
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, cool. So one of the things I like about the resources tab is if you click on it directly, it takes you straight to our most popular resources. That very first link is the coach's guide. The 4th link is the retired competitions questions. So a lot of these materials are accessible very quickly right here. And then if you want to actually go in by category, you can click this by category box and it will show you And I don't know why the formatting is playing with me. Maybe it's because uh, I don't know. I'm in Chrome. It should be fine. So anyway, we'll click on health and safety, and it will show you all of like question of the day calendars, weekly vocabulary quizzes, a coaching guide specifically for health and safety. It's a one-page PDF, which includes activities, content vocabulary, some visuals that you can copy and use. Lisa, is there anything else I should be pointing out?
I would definitely say the daily calendar stuff also. I think those are a really great way to practice using LifeSmarts questions in the classroom. There's a question per day, so for September there will be 30 questions. Once you get past January, the questions are across all topics. So September will focus on health and safety, but if you're looking at, for more of a general quiz to use in the classroom, February through May, we'll have questions from all the topic areas. We also post some archived calendars, so Seth is on the September 2017, but you also have access to 2016 here, which would give you obviously twice as many calendars to use this year.
Mm-hmm. So I've heard you use those for bell ringers. So the kid comes in and, we've hardly covered anything. Do you just let them use the internet and look up the answer before they've had the lesson? Or should just about all that be covered before you crank them out on the calendar?
I think there's different ways to do it. I think we definitely have a lot of coaches who use that as a bell ringer. Just for you to know, too, you may want to join another webinar or stay on the line maybe with Seth separately, because we did start an hour ago. So we've kind of... Yeah.
I thought it was 3 o'clock Pacific time.
Yeah, we started, I don't know, at 5 Eastern, I guess, so that would be 2 Pacific.
Okay. Yeah, I just had an email that it was 3 o'clock from one of the local gals here, so...
Okay.
I misunderstood, or there was a miscommunication.
Nope, you were totally...
Sure.
2 weeks ago
We're
it was.
Glad you joined us. Yeah, I'm just thinking we've maybe covered a lot of things, too, that would be helpful, or we could stay on the line, too, and just go through the website and the resources individually as well.
To tell you the truth, I think I could dive in on it. September is health and safety. What is October?
Personal finance. November is consumer rights and responsibilities. December is technology, and January is the environment.
Okay, I guess I was holding me up with getting my teen kids started, but I had them go through rather than me try to do it myself. It was just loading. So, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check out.
Okay. Well, we're glad you joined. Please stay in touch if you have questions.
Okay, is this going on YouTube as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll be able to look at it on YouTube in the next couple of days, probably.
Wonderful. Yeah, we'll get it up probably tomorrow at this point.
Yeah. If I can find this, I can look at it on YouTube. That would be good.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions?
One last question. What do I do if my state rep never calls me back or emails me back?
Let us know, and we might do a little bit of soul searching on your behalf.
Okay, Washington State.
Yeah.
I've emailed the guy a couple times and just haven't heard anything back.
Okay. Are you talking about Will Rance?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Will's with the Washington State Employees Credit Union, and I can tell you he does a lot of community projects around the state, and LifeSmarts is part of his job, but it's not the only part. But there are some other people up in Washington State who might be able to help you. I will try my best to find who might be the best contact for you.
I've kind of Emily out of Ellensburg as a mentor.
Oh, well, then you are very fortunate. Emily is one of our veteran coaches, very involved with the program, knows it back and forth, and still is one of our biggest supporters, helps us at Nationals every year.
Like I said, I think I'm doing pretty good.
Well, if you need anything at any point, you can always.
My kids, state recording stopped.
Are you guys still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I think Lisa had to run, but
okay.
I'm happy to answer any other questions. If anyone else is wanting to know more about their state competition, just so they know. The very first button, all about LifeSmarts, if you click on that, it takes you to our state competitions map. And so you just click on whichever state applies to you. So, for example, up in Washington State, it has all of the relevant information about your online competition, including that little box up in the upper right-hand corner. When the competition opens, when it closes, when paperwork is due for the state competition, and when state is happening. And it looks like Will, who is that second box, the state coordinator, looks like he's still got some information up from last year. So you can kind of see how busy Will has been. Let me run over to Virginia. I think that's another one. Kim Edmonds is our state coordinator there.
Yeah.
And yeah, and she's got her information updated as well. So if you want to send an email to any of them, you can click that send mailbox link right there, and it'll go directly to the state coordinator.
Good. This is Mark. I'm excited about participating this year.
We are so glad that you are here, and I think you're going to have a great time this year. People having a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, you just literally look at the pictures and see how excited people are. Okay. Are there any other questions? I know we went over an hour, but I think this was very helpful.
No, this is good. I'll contact my state coordinator if I have questions moving forward. And I guess one last thing, since I'm here, I'm going to introduce it to my kids in class later this week or early next week.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a PowerPoint or maybe some videos I can point to? And I will go search YouTube, but I want to get my kids jazzed up and just a little more acquainted with what the program is.
Sure. I would definitely recommend checking out our YouTube page. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Just getting started on Instagram this year. But I would definitely encourage you guys to head over to YouTube. We've got some videos about the LifeSmarts program. It's on our parent program, the National Consumers League. It's on their YouTube channel, but we're one of the playlists there. It has some really neat videos that can explain very quickly how the LifeSmarts program works. We also have those video casts I mentioned earlier by NBC News consumer reporter Herb Weisbaum that you can use in your classroom. We've even got the old webinars still on there, so like just in case this didn't work, you feel free to watch some of the previous webinars to kind of review how to register for various events. We also have some sample competition rounds. These were from, I think, the 2014 National Championship, so the questions are really hard, but the format of the rules can be followed very quickly and see how matches are played. So, and then of course there's more information from previous years on there as well. But I would definitely use that as a starting point.
Thank you. That's great.
Oh, thank you.
All right. I'm going to jump. Thanks for your time today. I'm really grateful.
Oh, no, thank you. Is there anything else from anyone else? Otherwise, we do have another webinar this time next week. It's at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. If you have any questions between then and now, please let us know. You can click the Contact Us box in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, I think that might have been Mary saying goodbye. So, alrighty. Well, if there's anything else, just let us know. Thank you again, and I hope you all have a great evening. All right, goodbye.